120-year-old doll that listens to people, senses their emotions, and sometimes even reacts. This is the story of the doll that inspired Annabelle, Chucky, and even Labubu.
It was the summer of 2025. I, Alex, came to Key West, Florida for the very first time. I had heard that there was something strange and terrifying here. A doll, known as Robert the Doll. People said it was cursed. Can a doll really harm anyone? But I didn't know. That very day, the scariest story of my life was about to begin. I reached the Fort East Martello Museum. The air inside was heavy and strange. There was a crowd, but everyone's eyes were fixed in one place. Inside a glass case sat that old doll. Dressed in a sailor suit, lifeless eyes, and holding a small teddy in its hand. In front of it, a board displayed 4 warnings. First, never take a picture of Robert without his permission. Second, never mock him. Third, never break your promises to him. And fourth, if you make a mistake, apologize, or bad things will happen. I laughed. It's just a doll. I neither asked permission nor bowed, and clicked a picture. That very moment, it felt like those glassy eyes were staring directly at me. The moment I stepped out of the museum, my phone froze. The screen went black, switching off again and again. When I reached the hotel in the evening, I found the door already open. Inside, my bag was thrown across the floor, as if someone had searched through everything. That night, my sleep was shattered by a whisper in my ear. "Thanks for coming." I thought it was a hallucination. But the next day, my car nearly crashed in a sudden accident. The very next day, my laptop crashed and all my recordings were deleted. That's when I realized maybe I had broken Robert's rules. Fear and uneasiness pulled me back to the museum. There, the guide said, "You must apologize to Robert. Anyone who breaks the rules eventually writes to him." And right in front of me were thousands of apology letters hanging beside the glass. Each one said, "Sorry, Robert, forgive me." But why? Why was a doll so powerful? This question pulled me 120 years back in time.
And that's exactly why we chose to examine this case. We started this channel to bring you real stories, the ones that blur the line between truth and legend. Hit that subscribe button and join us for the next one.
In 1904 in Key West, there was a boy named Robert Eugene Otto. Everyone called him Gene. On Gene's 5th birthday, his parents gave him a strange gift, a 5-foot-tall doll. Gene even gave the doll his own name, Robert. At first, it was just a toy, but soon the family noticed Gene talk to the doll. The strange part, often 2 voices were heard. One was Gene's innocent child voice, and the other, a deep, heavy voice, which was not his. Slowly, bizarre things began happening in the house. Beds flipped over. Toys shattered. Then Gene always said, "Robert did it." One time, neighbors saw Robert peeking out from the window while the room was locked. Years passed. Gene Otto grew up to be an artist. Later, he married a woman named Anne. At first, Anne thought Robert was just a toy. But slowly, she too started experiencing strange events. The house's atmosphere changed. Footsteps echoed upstairs, and she often felt the doll's eyes following her. One day, Anne decided to get rid of Robert. She locked him in an old wooden trunk and secured it with a padlock. But when she came downstairs, Robert was already sitting back in his chair, as if nothing had happened. That day, Anne realized this doll was not normal. Anne lived in constant fear, but Jean always refused to part with Robert. Eventually, Jean died, and Anne left the doll behind in the house and sold it. The next owner was a woman named Myrtle Reuter. She kept Robert with her for 20 years, and she too lived in fear. At first, she thought he was just an old toy and placed him on a chair by the window. But soon, whispers echoed through empty halls, doors creaked open, and lights flickered without reason. Robert never stayed where she left him. Locked in a trunk or moved aside, he always returned to stare at her. Neighbors claimed they saw him at upstairs windows, and even her dog refused to enter his room. On nights were worse. She dreamt of him walking to her bed, tiny footsteps tapping on the floor. Accidents followed. Slips, broken mirrors, and unexplained chills that left her trembling. By 1994, exhausted and terrified, Myrtle finally donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, but she warned anyone who dared take him. He chooses who he haunts, and since then, Robert has been sitting in this museum. After hearing the guard's words, I even started fearing Robert, but I still couldn't understand. What was really inside this doll? As I asked around more, I discovered something chilling. A few years ago, a researcher took Robert's Kirlian photography. This is a method used to capture the aura or energy field of living beings, but when Robert's photo was taken, it too showed an active energy field. One paranormal investigator explained, "This doll is a portal. It has trapped many spirits inside." The same investigator also shared a dark theory. She explained that Jean's nanny once lived with the family. She had a secret relationship with Jean's father. From that relationship, a daughter was born. But out of society's fear, the girl died mysteriously. Perhaps the nanny used black magic, either to protect the girl's soul or to take revenge, and bound her spirit inside Robert. That is why Robert could laugh, move, and even get angry, like a living person. No one knows if the story was true, but the consequences, everyone suffered. After hearing all this, I felt the ground slip beneath my feet. I wasted no time. I picked up a piece of paper and wrote, "Sorry, Robert. I didn't mean to disrespect you. Please forgive me." The moment I finished writing, I felt an eerie lightness, like some heavy burden had been lifted. They say, even listening to Robert's story is dangerous. Whoever hears it becomes connected to him. What is your message for Robert? Tell us in the comments below.